Hi, I'm Steve Johnson, SJ Connects Strategic Communications, and this is the Backstage Pass. In all of the coaching work I do, we talk a lot about the best way for humans to connect with each other. And science tells us, all the way back to Harry Harlow's studies in the 1930s, that really the number one way for humans to connect is through touch. Now, that's a problem at work. Our colleagues don't want us touching them. Human resources frowns upon it. And this COVID world doesn't even get us into close approximation for us to touch other people. So what's our second strongest tool to connect? Eye contact. And so we want to leverage that, whether we are in person with our audiences or even when we are in a remote situation and looking through camera lenses. It's when we have our visual, our vocal, and our verbal tools all working together is when we're most effective. That's why video is so effective. That's why being live in a room is so effective. Yet, oftentimes, that critical visual tool of eye contact gets lost when we are in this remote setting. We're spending our time talking to faces on a screen instead of trying to create at least a virtual connection through eye contact. There are a lot of studies over the last couple of decades that talk about how direct eye contact really helps your audience mirror you and provides for good common ground, ability to empathize, and for awareness of engagement. In fact, in 2003, the Journal of Neuroscience had a study that talked about skin conductance response being heightened with a direct gaze versus an averted gaze. Now, of course, a lot of this has to do with us believing that we are being watched, that we know that we are in a face-to-face situation with someone. In 2016, a study out of Finland showed that skin conductance, heart rate, those elements were increased when people believed they were being watched. So obviously, think about it if you turn your camera off, or if we go back to just a conference call without video, you're not going to have that same impact. This year, Finland came back out with another study that showed even through this transom, we understand that as long as we know that there is someone live on the other side, when we are able to make that eye contact, and in this format, it's artificial because you're looking at a camera lens, the people on the screen are getting the feeling of being looked at in the eye. And that makes a physiological difference in your audience. And frankly, that goes along with what everyone already knows about the psychological difference that eye contact can bring for you. Confidence, capability, credibility. So that begs the question, what is the right amount of eye contact, whether we're live or in this remote setting? Numbers get bandied about 30 to 60%. The idea of 50% when you're talking, 70% when you're listening. I'm not going to sit here and overprescribe a specific number, but think about this. When you are in the room with someone, you're reading the room and making eye contact at the same time. When you are in a remote situation, when you're making eye contact, it's because you're looking into the camera. The part of the percentage of your time breaking away from that will be to look at the screen and read the room, which is still very important. So between reading the room, being accurate and checking notes, doing what we check our mental files by when we look away and access files in our brain, all of those things are still going to happen, and they all can still happen. But put the majority of your time when speaking, looking at the camera or looking your audience in the eye to make sure you have the best connection possible as a communicator. I'm Steve Johnson, and this has been the Backstage Pass.